from the All Indiana Podcast Network.
It's time for real conversation about the real issues that affect our communities.
Poverty, education, equality, and more.
This is Real Talk.
Real Talk with Reverend Charles Harrison.
Welcome to Real Talk on the All Indiana Podcast Network. I am Reverend Charles Harrison, and on this episode today, we have with us Reverend Eugene Rivers, who was one of the co-founders of the Boston 10-Point Coalition. He is known as an expert when it comes to strategies to reduce urban violence. He is nationally known, and he is one of the ministers from Boston who came to Indianapolis under the Goldsmith administration to help start the Indianapolis 10-Point Coalition. So stay tuned for this wonderful conversation that I will have today with Reverend Rivers. Welcome to Real Talk with Reverend Charles Harrison, and I have a very special guest today, a good friend, the Reverend Eugene Rivers out of Boston. And I met him, it's been 24 years ago when Reverend Rivers came to Indianapolis under Mayor Goldsmith and talked to a bunch of community leaders and pastors about the Boston 10-Point Coalition. And I was one of many ministers that was just moved by that story of the great work that Boston clergy did in helping to curb the violence in one of the toughest areas in Boston, in the Dorchester neighborhood. And later in 1999, I was a part of a group of clergy in Indianapolis that formed the Indianapolis version of the 10-Point Coalition. And I have been friends with Reverend Rivers ever since then. Certainly, he is my mentor and my father in this work. Welcome, Reverend Rivers. How you doing?
God bless you there, my brother. How you doing, Bishop?
Well, I'm doing all right. I'm doing real good. Let's kind of talk a little bit about how the Boston 10-Point Coalition got started. And I know we have talked a little bit about that over the years, but for those who are listening, kind of share how it got started and the role that you played.
Right. Well, first of all, I want to thank you for this opportunity. Secondly, I want to applaud you before I get started on the amazing work that you've done in Indianapolis and in the region. I mean, not only have you done a brilliant job advancing faith-based models for crime prevention, not only have you done that, Reverend Harrison, you have been a increasingly recognized national figure. So, yes, you're the founder of the Indianapolis 10-Point Coalition, but also, and I just did to say this for the benefit of those listening, you've been a very significant presence recognized from the West Coast to the East Coast. And so I just want to salute and recognize and the importance of your work and the influence that you've had in significant arenas from the White House through across the country, in the Midwest, and you've been an amazing exemplar. And your work was just cited in some major research projects, I think sponsored by the Urban Institute. Right.
Yes.
So I just need to say that. So for the benefit of those listening, that, I know I'm speaking to someone who is a major nationally recognized leader in terms of faith-based approaches to crime prevention. And so I just want to salute you because Negroes have a way of being real tricky, giving out credit. Everybody wants to be a legend in their own mind, right? And teachers catch that bacteria and disease perhaps more frequently than others.
Yes.
And so I just want to. So I need to say that to provide the context for people that may be listening. As to the origins of the model, just very quickly, and this will come as news to many. Number one, I was born in Boston, but raised primarily in Philadelphia. Philadelphia, at the time that I grew up, was a gang-infested city. There had to be 100 gangs in Philly. It was a black church that pulled me out of gang activity in Philadelphia. It was a black church, all right? And Benjamin Smith was the pastor. And so I was raised in a context where gangs saturated the city, and there was some activity and engagement by black clergy addressing the question of gangs and violence. So I get saved out of a gang, and the Lord put on my heart to go back and minister. And I actually hear reports that I didn't necessarily remember from former gang dudes, right? I mean, real monsters who said, yeah, Rib, my nickname was Rib. Back in the day, man, Rib used to bring his Bible and preach to us. And Rib would go around the neighborhood preaching, all the gang dudes. And we would see Rib coming, and we'd run, right? We'd say, N-word, get out of here, man. Here come Rib again with that Bible, man. We gonna, and it was pretty amazing, right? And so it was in the context. So that's sort of so the Lord, God transforms my life. Now, fast forward. I get to Boston, and I'm an undergraduate at Harvard. And we started a student group called the William J. Seymour Society. The William J. Seymour Society was a Christian Black fellowship and forum. And we began doing educational work in the Black community. And this is in 1982. This is 10 years before 10 Point, right? 1982. And we saw, we did these educationals, and the residents told us, the big issue in the Black community is violent crime and drugs. That's 82. And the beginning, and it's sort of mind-blowing, the beginning of what became 10 Point, the 10-point plan in 92 was a march where we marched for 3 miles through the worst sections of the city of Boston on October 23rd, 1982, and that was sort of the genesis, because number one, and the other part of it, Reverend Harrison, that I can now say publicly, is that our thinking had been informed by the influences of two groups. Now, at the time, we never told anybody that because they would shut us down. But what had happened is that in the Black community, there were two groups that had 10-point plans. The first was the Nation of Islam. They had a 10-point plan. What the Muslims want,
right?
You go in the back of their newspaper, and there'd be a 10-point plan. Oh, okay. Right, 10-point plan, Black Muslims.
Okay.
Now, the Black Muslims have always been a mixed bag, right?
Right.
But in Philadelphia, for example, the Black Muslims were the dominant organized crime family. Literally.
Wow.
They were, they controlled the heroin and violence in the Black community. So that's Philadelphia. Most of the mosques were not like that. But Philly was definitely special. It was organized criminality. Then the other group that had a 10-point plan that was highly visible was the Black Panther Party.
Right.
Right? And the Panther Party were inspired, I imagine, by the Black Muslims and the idea of a 10-point plan. I then said, after an event on May 14th, 1992, a bunch of hoodlums went into a church in the middle of a funeral.
Wow.
And tried to burn, and shot the place up and stabbed people.
Wow.
All hell broke loose.
Wow.
Now, that event was a turning point for me, because That event pulled out the inner black Muslim in me and Black Panther. I said, no, man, you hoodlums are not going up into a black church in the middle of a funeral. Raise all this hell and get away with it. We're not doing that. Now, what had happened, get this, Pastor, what happened is that a year earlier, 1991, I met with a drug dealer, Reverend Harrison, 1991. And we were doing work with gangs at the time. We had moved into a tough neighborhood. We're working with all these bad dudes, right? And and in my kitchen with my wife, I said to the drug dealer, tell me what I need to do to put you out of business.
Wow.
Right? I said, his name was Selvin Brown. Selvin Brown. I said, Selvin, tell me what we need to do. What does the black church need to do to cool you guys out? Right? So he, it was amazing, man. So he said, and it's a famous line, look, you got to be visible. He said, I hold this neighborhood hostage because the black men who are law-abiding citizens hide in their houses.
Wow, wow.
The adult men hide from their children. That was deep.
It was deep.
Okay? The adult black men hide from their children. And when Johnny goes to school in the morning, I'm there on the corner. When Johnny comes home from school in the afternoon, I'm there.
Wow.
On the corner. When Johnny goes to the corner store to get some food for Ma, I'm there. You're not.
Right.
I win, you lose.
Wow.
His line was, it's all about being there.
Wow.
I wrote down that plan on a napkin, right? I sat down in the kitchen. I wrote the basic elements of the plan. It was amazing, of that plan. And when the Morning Star thing went down, I worked on it some more. And then I took it to the first group of preachers. And I said, look, man, I got a 10-point plan, right? I got a 10-point plan. And I knew, just like every city, right? You got the big black preachers, you got the middle range preachers, you got the shot blocker black preachers,
yes.
You got the jealous, hate your guts nigger preachers,
yes.
You got all the various preachers. Then you got the Jesus on my mind, speaking tongues, sing and shout, and don't do nothing else preachers. Like the Holiness Pentecostal. I can talk about them because I'm one, right? And so you had those, and what happened? On the 14th of May, 1992, they tore the place up. I went to the paper and said, wait a minute now, if they're going to start doing this to black churches, we may need to arm ourselves. And that shocked everybody, right? And somebody said, well, you might want to walk that back. I said, no, I'm not sure you're not. You're coming there with a gun and you're going to terrorize people, because that's what it was. They were terrorizing people, right?
Right.
So that was in the paper. I called Cardinal Law. I called Cardinal Law. He was the chief, cardinal, regional cardinal, and he got to Pastor Borders, and Cardinal Law actually called the meeting. He called the meeting.
So this was a preacher's meeting?
Yeah, Doc.
Okay.
So that's the following Tuesday.
Okay.
And 300 preachers showed up.
Wow.
300 preachers showed up. Because Law was a big man. Law was a big man. He was the big man in the church, ecumenical church world. So we called the preachers. 300 of us showed up. I met with a handful of preachers. Said, look, I've got a 10-point plan. I got a plan. I drafted it. I had met with some preachers, and we had sort of gone over it, right? And that was that, right? So the plan was presented that presented to the 300 preachers, and I said, anybody serious about addressing this, meet at Rivers' house on Friday night at 10 o'clock, and we're going out.
So you were going out at 10 o'clock at nighttime, huh?
Yeah, 10 o'clock on a Friday night.
Wow.
Yeah, 10 o'clock
wow.
Friday night.
Friday
right?
night. Okay.
Right. And this was at the height of all the gang stuff, right? And we patrolled for years. Friday night, we were in the streets, right? Reaching out to young people, doing the stuff, right? And that became a real big issue. And what happened, Reverend Harrison, is that the white people were so impressed that the black people took responsibility, right, that they began to support the work. So it was a thing, Doc. It was a thing.
So
and go ahead.
No, I was going to say. So, Reverend Rivers, what was going on when y'all were out in the streets that impacted the level of violence so that y'all became known? What happened as the Boston Miracle? What kind of engagements was preachers and gang members and drug dealers having while y'all were out on the streets?
Okay. Well, see, the excellent question. I'm glad you raised it, right, for everybody listening. You see, there were a number of factors. So, number one, we never took credit for everything.
Okay.
Right? That's number one, right? We were honest. What happened is that Cardinal Law brought the police to the table because he was Irish and all the cops were Irish.
Okay.
All right?
Okay.
And he convened a meeting at his residence. Okay? He convened a meeting at his residence and said, now, we're going to work this thing out so that there's an opportunity, right? There's an opportunity for these ministers. Every 10 kids, 7 are good, 3 are knuckleheads, 1's a criminal that needs to go to jail.
Right.
You got two dummies, 1 leader, and what happened is that there was a level of collaboration, Doc. Right? There was a level of collaboration. Police, and this was feds, state, and municipal police working with the black clergy and the political power of the Roman Catholic Church and the forcefulness of the Boston Globe.
Okay.
Right? And that transformed the environment. And we said, we will send the criminals to jail.
Wow.
And we endorsed that. We endorsed incarcerating violent repeat offenders. No, and mind you, all the cops were not perfect. We had some dirty cops. Right. But what happened, once the black clergy owned crime, violent crime, once the black church owned violent crime, it was a different ballgame. And that's what transformed the culture.
Well, how, did you get much pushback from taking that position, particularly the black church, black preachers, advocating for law enforcement to lock up Junebug them who are terrorizing the neighborhood? Because I speak from what has happened here in Indianapolis. When I have taken that position, certainly I have gotten a lot of pushback from black preachers and particularly the cancel culture and Black Lives Matter.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right. Well, excellent question. What happened? We lived in one of the most violent neighborhoods in the city.
Okay.
Right? So our house, the Rivers household, was shot into twice and burglarized 6 times. So there were no niggas anywhere. Excuse the language. There was nobody that was going to tell us what to say.
Right.
If they were living in the suburbs. So, and it was big news when they shot at our house. They killed our church van.
Okay.
All right. So no one publicly was going to push back against the clergy after they had gone into church
Okay.
and jacked it up, right?
Right.
No one. That's number one. Number two, no, it was crazy, right? And we said publicly, right? They're killing kids. So my house got shot into the first time, right? We found out who did that. Then our house got shot into the second time, right? We found out who did that. And in both cases, we said, lock these dudes up. No.
How'd you find out, Rivers? Did the streets tell you who did it?
The streets told me. No, in the second case,
okay.
Streets told. In the second case, I put a $1,000 bounty.
Okay.
I held a I got $1,000. I got $1,000 for anyone who will provide information leading to the conviction and arrest of the Negro that shot in my house and upset my daughter.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, on all the stations, $1,000. And let me tell you something, Reverend. By 6 o'clock that night, I had a name.
Wow. That's amazing.
Was shot into on Saturday night. We did the press conference after church.
Okay.
After church, we did the press conference, right?
Right.
And by 6 o'clock that night, we got the name.
Wow.
And by then, the dude, Jamie Stone, right? Jamie Stone was on his way to Atlanta because he knew it was hot and popping.
It was okay. Well,
and they knew there was $1,000 bounty on his head.
Wow. How did the gang members and the drug dealers and those involved in criminal activity respond to you, Pastor Rivers, and the other clergy who were on the streets trying to curb the violence, knowing that y'all was taking this hard position against the repeat violent offenders? Right.
Well, no, see what happens, and you'll relate to this based on all the extraordinary work that you've done, Reverend Harrison.
Right.
What happened, there was a meeting. There was a park. It's like the park in The Wire, right? Where the drug dealers hung out. And I went to the fellas and I said, gentlemen, I just need to holler at you for a minute, man. I just want to holler at you, right? I said, gentlemen, listen, I understand the product. And until I have a job to give you, I can't really quibble with you about how you make your money. Right. But, so that's it. Nobody's trying to interfere with your livelihood. I get that.
Right.
Now, but the noise, y'all going to give me the noise. And I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to put the feds on you. And I'm telling you to your face, you keep this hell raising with all this shooting, and I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to put the cracker on you.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
I said, nigga, you ain't got to worry about a snitch. I'm telling you to your face, nigga.
Okay.
I'm going to put that cracker on you. Yeah. We met in the park. I said, I'm going to put the cracker on you. That's what we're going to do. And if he don't get you, I'm going to say he's a racist and hold a press conference against him.
Wow.
So I'm not locking you up. Oh, no.
Wow.
Oh, no. And they, and see, at the time, the feds, and all these other guys, right? And some of this is the Clinton administration. So we had access to the Clinton administration.
Right, okay.
And we said, we want to work with you guys.
Okay.
Right? And what happened, the interventions, right? The interventions were absolutely amazing. Right? And here again, right? The clergy, plural, were out there.
Right.
And I want to say something about that, right?
Okay.
I went out of my way to play team ball with the clergy.
Okay. Right.
Now, what happened is that, I had been going out in the street from 1987, and this is, all right, so from 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, right? For 6 years, I'm out here doing this. 6 years. So 92, with Morningstar, I've been out here 6 years already doing this stuff.
Wow. Okay. Most people don't know that. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. For 6 years we've been doing this, right? When I moved in the neighborhood, and they threw a brick at my house the second day I moved in. Doc, it was on.
Wow.
I moved in, and the dude threw a brick at my house with my wife and my baby. Doc, I put my sneakers on. I said, Ma, sweetie pie, I'll be right back. I chased that nigga for 4 blocks.
Wow.
And I knew, you get this, Reverend. I knew ain't no young punk gonna throw a brick at my house and go unanswered. I said, oh no, oh hell no, oh no, dude.
Wow.
I chased that dude, and it was a whole big thing in the neighborhood.
Right.
So they seen this cat, man. He was chasing this kid, and this old nigga was running.
Wow.
Right? I chased that dude down, and then I grabbed him. By then, there's a crowd. And I knew, Rivers, you got to play this right so you don't get the crowd to come against you, right? Because you can end up getting your butt beat if you mishandle it. Right? So I grabbed the kid. I said, where does this kid live? I'm taking him to his mother.
Right. Wow.
Right? And that became the news in the neighborhood. Yeah, man, this dude, man, he chased him, man. He ran that kid down, throwing a brick at my house. I said, boy.
Wow.
I said, and I knew psychologically, Rivers, you can't let that slide. You now must establish your presence. So you must establish your presence to make your wife and your child safe.
Wow. Well, Reverend, let me ask you this question. You know, and you made a good point there, because I think over the years our position has been, we know that there's a lot of drug trafficking in the neighborhood. Certainly we know who all the drug dealers are. It has not been our practice to disturb how they survive.
Right.
Our issue,
exactly. You're right.
Our issue has been with them. They have to learn how to eat without the violence. And if they learn how to eat without the violence, then we don't have no issues with each other.
That's right. That's exactly right. In fact, that you were doing 10-point, Doc.
Right.
That's exactly right.
Right.
That's exactly what you did. You were doing what would be the sensible strategy, right? If you ain't got an economy to hire these dudes, you can't say nothing.
Right. Absolutely.
Right. Right.
So
you're absolutely right. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna ask you a question. So I know you ended up, and I'm trying to think of the young guy's name. I think his name was Cheese. You had gang leaders and
that's right,
and individuals kind of working with y'all on the streets, because I think y'all went 2.5 years without a homicide or something like that.
We went 2.5 years without a homicide, and the homicides never approached again the peak of 150 homicides or so.
Wow.
We never returned to that ever.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
And now let me say this. This is important to say. At the time, money for programming for the kids was flush.
Okay.
Clinton gave lots of money to do crime prevention stuff. Clinton did a lot of money.
Okay.
And it was it was a big deal. It was a big deal. Clinton gave a lot of money, right?
So Reverend Rivers, so people like Cheese that work with you.
Yeah, that's right.
I know there's a popular term that a lot of cities have used over the last 20 years. They call them violence interrupters.
Well, let's talk about the violence interrupters.
Okay, let's talk about it. Yeah, I want to know.
Let me tell you the real story.
Okay, tell me the real story.
Origin.
Okay.
The origin of the violence interrupter comes out of the Boston model.
Okay,
Let me tell you.
Okay.
It'll blow your mind.
All right.
What happened? There was a dude named Gary Slutkin, right, from Chicago. He's the guy that, coined the phrase, I guess. What happened, Doc, is that Gary Slutkin came to Boston to learn about the Boston model. Okay? Gary Slutkin. And when Slutkin came, he said, I want to go back and organize the black churches to do what they're doing in Boston. Okay?
Yes.
So he comes, he spends a few days, he brings me out to Chicago. Now, and here again, you and I talked about this some years ago, right?
Right.
And what happened, there were three things. Number one, he found that he could not get the black preachers because the political corruption of black preachers in Chicago is so pervasive. They're owned by City Hall.
Right.
They've always been owned by City Hall, right? That's number one. Number two, Doc, so when I get out there, I meet all these big fancy preachers, and Chicago is a massive city.
Right.
Chicago is essentially a country. Watch this. So it's essentially a country.
Right.
You could not have a citywide 10-point coalition in Chicago because it would literally need to be an infantry of armed individuals. You'd have to send the infantry in because, number one, the gangs are organized crime, right?
Right.
And the police department are terrorists.
Okay.
Right. So and the corruption is institutionalized. So if I go to Chicago, right, and we talked about this, right?
Right.
And see, the guy said, "Look, Rivers, you got two things that you don't have in Boston, and you would not have in Boston. One, you have very low levels of political corruption in Boston, right? You just don't have it the way you have in Chicago. That's number one.
Right.
Number two, the police department is a criminal organization. It is literally a criminal organization.
Wow.
Right? Right. Now, all right. So the police would be killing preachers if the preachers got in the way.
Wow. Okay.
Right? Okay. And then you got organized crime. Right? And the violence associated with organized criminality, violent drug cartels in Chicago.
Right.
Right. Now, which made it so that, developing a faith-based model in a town where everything is corrupt, right? And the police department's a criminal organization. Now, and see, that was at the end. So what happens? Slutkin says, "Okay, I'm not going to waste a whole bunch of time, right? I'm not going to waste a whole bunch of time, and we will I'm gonna create a violence interrupter thingy, and we'll do what they did in Boston, which is what Rivers did: hire these dudes in the street to work the streets."
Okay. Okay.
Okay. The violence interrupter thing began because I had street workers before 10 points in 89. I had hired some young gang members to work with the young people.
So
in 89.
So you did that in 89. So you hired gang members to work with young people in 89.
Oh yeah, what they now call violence interrupter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what they now call a violence interrupter, we just hired some dudes from the neighborhood who wanted a legitimate job. That's all the violence interrupters do.
Okay.
There's no theory, no strategy, no social science, none of that. Which means, Reverend Harrison, there is an opportunity. There is an opportunity for the 10-point model to expand. There's a guy who knows you well named Gerard. What is Gerard's last name? Gerard Bailey, right? He's a big fundraising guy.
I know who you're talking about. I know him. Yes.
Right, that's right. You do it. No, he tells me. No, he said,
Yeah.
I know Harrison well,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Gerard, right?
Yes.
And he is plugged into a lot of the national money.
Okay.
All right?
Okay.
And when you get a chance, please reach out to him because he says, "Look, Rivers, we can find some money for the 10-point stuff. We'll find some money."
Well, a lot of cities, Reverend Rivers, you have these national groups, Ceasefire. So I guess that came out of the the Boston ceasefire.
Let's get him at the ball. Yeah, that's
okay.
all Boston.
Okay.
That's Boston.
Okay.
That's David Kennedy. David Kennedy ceasefire.
So that's
right.
David Kennedy ceasefire. So Cure Violence, did that come out of ceasefire? Is that David Kennedy? That's the other master
right.
group?
I think that, yeah. See, all of that spins out because, see, there was a fight. There's the 10-point thing, which the Clintons had supported. Right. And then watch this. There's two things. It's very, very deep.
Okay.
Then there's what we call the medicalization, the medicalization of violence, where violence is a disease and what you need is a pill. That's crudely put.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
It's a pill. Oh, I see. So you got the pill.
Right.
Take them to the hospital, and that'll cure everything.
Okay.
And so what happened? There was a battle. And this is deep. There was a battle fighting the faith-based stuff. And it was a fight. And so what happens, there's an opportunity. Yeah, so all of that stuff. Everything for the most part, because the most dramatic drop and where there was the highest level of mobilization. Here again, we're talking early 90s. Now, this is the thing that you need to know. The black churches were ahead of this game, which is why the Clintons got behind it.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Before the Bush people, the Clinton folk had been behind it and were supporting the stuff. All right? So that you have a history, right?
Right.
That predates all this stuff.
Yeah.
All right? The churches, and I got another one for you that's real crazy. You know who is someone who worked really hard on this stuff and nobody gives him credit for it?
Who's that?
In 1966, Martin Luther King tried to do gang work.
Wow. Didn't know that.
In 1966, Doc. Oh, it's heavy, man.
Yes.
The black church has its fingerprints over all of this stuff. Now, we just never told our story.
Right.
We didn't know how to do it.
Okay.
We didn't know how to tell our story.
Well, let me ask you this: the model, the model out of Oakland with Pastor McBride.
Michael McBride.
Yeah,
right.
and I know that he's been someone who has worked with you and.
No, he says no. What McBride says is that, look, Reverend Rivers got me started in this.
Okay. Yeah. So,
right?
so is the Oakland ceasefire? Is that the 10-point model? Because in our city, the Hogshead administration has adopted basically the Oakland model, and to me, it's similar to a lot of other models across the country that really is 10-point, but they gave it another name.
No, that's all. Let me tell you what's happening. And you get this. Look, McBride comes to Boston to study the model. Right. McBride brings me out to Oakland.
Okay.
Right? And I meet with the dudes out there, and I do an analysis of the model.
Okay.
All right? And so we do that. And then the politics of it got crazy. Right? The politics got crazy. And so the branding became an issue. Right? And there was a big fight, and and just got heavy. It got very heavy because now we've got to figure out how the money works. So this is what happened. Someone says you can do 10 points, just call it something else.
Wow.
Just call it something else.
Wow.
Right.
Wow.
Make up something else. At the level of theory, practice, policy, program, agenda, make it something else. And so what happened I'm working on, and I'll be working with you on this, right?
Okay.
I'm working on a national campaign, a national 10-point campaign to support black mothers, train the sons, and defend the daughters. It's an a national 10-point anti-violence program that revolves around supporting black mothers, training the sons, and it's an anti-violence. Catch the kid at 5, 6, 7. That's the reasoning, right? And the concept is derailing gang formation. Oh, no. In other words, this is 10 points.
Right.
The idea of derailing gang formation.
Okay.
Right?
Yes.
What we're going to do, we're going to catch the gang before the gang gets started.
Okay.
Right? And this is and we've been, and so my sense is, Reverend Harrison, I want to bring you to Boston on this 30th anniversary and get some other. Addie's got some people. Now, where are her people? You said Pine Bluff, Arkansas, right?
Yeah. Some
right.
some are in the South, and then I think she has some on the West Coast. So they're kind of all over.
Right.
Yes.
And so what we want to do is, and what we'll do, we'll set up a meeting, and I'm going to figure out how to do this, right? I'm going to get to the vice president.
Okay.
I'm going to get to the vice president. Right?
Okay.
I'm going to get to the vice.
Well, one other question for the show, Reverend Rivers.
Sure.
The question becomes, and I think you kind of raised it with Chicago, and I know there are other large cities, Philadelphia, where they're having large amounts of violence.
Oh man, crazy, right?
Can urban violence be not only reduced but sustained over the years? I think Boston seems to be the one city that has sustained those low levels of homicides over decades, and I'm not for sure any other major city has been able to accomplish that for a lot of reasons. Some of it's political reasons, but y'all seem to have done that, and politics and other factors have not caused y'all to go back to the 150 homicides you experienced.
Well, see, I'll tell you. Well, there's one piece to it, Doc.
Okay.
Well, look. Number one, in this town, there is a tradition of black church law enforcement cooperation.
Okay.
That's 30 years old.
Okay.
All right?
Right.
That's 30 years old, right?
Right.
And so we have that. Okay? We have that. And so the deal is that Boston, and see, the other part of it, Reverend, is that Boston's a small, extremely wealthy city.
Right.
That's the other part of it, right?
Okay.
Boston is stupid rich.
Okay.
Right? You've got the universities, you've got the medical, the university-based health industry.
Right.
You've got the computer industry, and you got the university. Boston is mad wealthy.
Right.
In fact, the income inequality in Boston exceeds the income inequality in New York.
Wow.
Yeah, Doc. Right? It's absolutely, yeah. So you have enormous wealth.
Okay.
For that reason, the city invests in keeping the crime stuff down because you got too many white people here.
Okay. So
right?
yeah, that's good to know. Yes.
So what happens that makes and the black clergy, the black churches got in fact, the models, just last point. See, there were guys in the 80s that were trying to do some black church violence prevention stuff. There was a guy named Bruce Wall. He was one of the signatories of the 10-point plan. All right? And and so we go back to the 80s when you had, and these guys didn't have anything systematic,
okay.
right?
Okay.
They were sort of doing marches. There was no plan.
Right.
Right. And they were good guys. They were good preachers that said this stuff is crazy. Right. So so in Boston, here again, a lot of money. The business leadership was concerned about the black community. Right.
Right.
So when the black preacher stepped up, the rich white boy said, we got some guys we can do business with. Big deal. Big deal. Very, very, very big deal.
So what has been? So what has been? I know last year, I think Boston, you had a little over 40 homicides for the whole city. Oh, that's just amazing. I mean, that's amazing, amazing.
Right.
So
now, in fact,
go ahead.
Yeah. No. And one last thing, you can go back to the Boston Herald.
Okay.
An elderly black woman was shot and murdered, and the Baker House put a $10,000 bounty on the head of the person who shot the woman.
Wow.
We put a $10,000 bounty on that guy's head. Reward, right? That sent a whole different kind of message. That sent a whole different message.
That would.
All right?
That would.
We're not having this. We're not having this. We'll put $10,000 up. We ain't playing with y'all.
Wow.
Right? Yeah.
Well, this is certainly, and I'm always, you always share so much when we talk about this whole issue of violence and the impact certainly that you have had and on a lot of us ministers. And you have had. Well, thank you. But certainly, I have certainly been inspired by your work over the years and appreciate our friendship. And I just want to thank you for joining me today,
of course,
Reverend Rivers, for Real Talk. And thank you, my friend.
Bless you, man.
All right.
Take care now.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I'm Reverend Charles Harrison, and this has been Real Talk. Join me next time as I bring more real talk about the real issues that affect our communities here in Indianapolis and across the country. Next week, I will have Reverend James W. Jackson. He's the senior pastor of Fervent Prayer Church. He is a great community advocate on the far east side of Indianapolis. He is the founder of Clean for Green, which is a youth summer jobs program. And we're going to talk a little bit about the work that he is doing on the far east side to help curb the pattern of violence. And he is a part of a group of clergy on the far east side that started a 10-point there that has just done extraordinary work in 2 sections on the far east side over the last 3.5 years. So this is Reverend Harrison. I'll be with you next week. Share this and subscribe to this podcast and share it on Facebook and Twitter. This is Reverend Harrison. Have a blessed and awesome day.
This is Real Talk with Reverend Charles Harrison.
Be sure to like and subscribe to this podcast.
And be sure to check out other great podcasts on the All Indiana Podcast Network.
Online now at allindianapodcast.com.